Oh, love be the loudest, love be the loudest, love be the loudest voice I hear. Well, I thought we'd sing a song about love because I thought tonight it would be fun to talk about love. Anybody like love? So tonight, I want to ask you to think about this question. What does love mean to you? In our world today, when people use the word love, it often means a positive feeling we get, right? So I really love coffee and fall and hanging out with you guys and songwriting. You know, it's feeling great. It's this loving feeling that I have about all of those things. And love also describes, a physical or a heart attraction. This is what we sing about. This is what we hear lots of songs on the radio about. This is what our TV shows are about, is all this love that we feel for someone else, either in friendship or relationship. Love in our world is also very much about tolerance. To love other people means that we are kind and we are accepting. So in the Bible, we learn that a lot of these things are true that we think about love. It's patient, it's kind, it's generous, it's hopeful, and it involves deep connection. But love is so much more than that. I would venture to say that true love is often an incredible challenge, an uncomfortable challenge for most of us. Because sometimes, as you know, to love means you get your heart broken. When you care for someone and you lose them either through a breakup of a relationship or because of death, or maybe just because they turn their back on you. That is the worst possible pain for someone who loves. And to love sometimes means that we have to suffer and to sacrifice. Over the years, just meeting people around the country, I've met lots of parents who have gone without at some point so that their kids could eat or so their kids could, have what they need. A lot of times when we're watching like the Olympics or when we're watching stories of athletes and these kids that, trained and, every single day, and there was all this money required for that training and their parents gave up so much for them. I've met a lot of parents too, or a lot of grandparents who have ended up raising their grandkids after they thought they were finished raising children. And that is not easy, but they do it because they love. And another thing about love is that it often requires risk, right? So sometimes loving people means you speak really difficult truth to them, and they may not like to hear it. I have had to do this a few times, but I'm also thankful to have been on the receiving end of it a few times. I remember one particular instance where I was dating a guy I absolutely should not have been dating. And one of my friends loved me enough to finally just say, "What are you doing? You are absolutely messing up your life." Actually, several friends said that. But one in particular just sat me down and said, "It's time to stop." And she kind of drew a line in the sand. And at the end of the day, that was the most loving thing she could have done for me. So if we want to learn how love works and how to love well, where do we look? For those of us who are Christians, we look to Jesus because he was perfect love in human form. And he spent his time with all kinds of people, a lot of people that no one else liked, no one else would talk to because they had diseases or impairments or just, had done some terrible things that people weren't fond of. And he even spent, some of his time with a few like hip, popular people. But no matter who he was with, Jesus' love meant that he never left anyone where he found them. When he was with sick people, he healed them. When the blind guys cried out in faith that they wanted to see, like Bartimaeus, Jesus gave them their sight. And to the cool kids and the super religious, Jesus' love meant something a little different. He called their bluff, and he told them the truth. And they, in most cases, did not want to hear that. So for Jesus, love also meant that he physically served people. He washed the feet of his closest friends. even the one who would turn around and betray him and hand him over to be crucified just a couple hours later. So when I hear how Jesus loved, maybe you're like this, I'm really inspired, to go out and try it, really dig in, really serve, really love difficult people or try to reach out to difficult people. I think, I mean, Jesus is my inspiration. I can be slightly uncomfortable. That's okay. But after a few days of trying to do this on my own, I fail. I give up. I run out of steam. Does anyone else do this? I kind of think, well, Jesus was Jesus. So of course he could love perfectly. But that's kind of not where we get to end, especially those of us who are following Jesus. We don't get to kind of say, well, that's great. Jesus does that. And so we'll let him be the one who loves perfectly. And we can't give up our quest to learn to love. So, but if we can't love perfectly on our own, what do we do? What do you think that means we do? How do we learn to truly love? Well, it's a really simple, though not an easy answer. I think I say that a whole lot. But, what happens in order for us to learn how to love is we have to come back again and again and look at Jesus' ultimate act of love for us. And that was his act of love on the cross. 1 John 4 says, this is how God showed his love among us. He sent his one and only Son into the world that we might live through him. This is love, not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son as a sacrifice for us. No one has ever seen God, but if we love one another, God lives in us and his love is made complete in us. So what does it mean to love? It means to look every day at how much Jesus loved you. Hebrews says that he believed in our place. He believed in perfect love for us because we couldn't do it on our own. He carried everything we'd ever done wrong, and he was faithful on to death. So growing in love doesn't mean we work till we run out of steam. No way. It means we rest in this truth and this good news of what Jesus has done for us. We wrap ourselves in it until our desire is to love like he loved us. We hope in the good news that he began a good work in us and will bring it to completion. He is on our side. He wants us to love like he loves. He wants it to be as natural for you and me as it is for him. So ask him to give you eyes to see all the ways that he's loving you well every day this week. And ask him to help you move to a life of love. Oh, come, let us unite and sing. God is love, God is love. Let heaven and earth their praises bring. God is love, God is love. Let every soul from sin awake. Let every heart sweet music make. And sing with us for Jesus' sake. God is love, God is love. Oh, sing to earth's most distant lands. God is love, God is love. In Christ we are made whole again. God is love, God is love. His blood has washed our sin away. His spirit turned our night to day. And with great joy our hearts can say, God is love, God is love. One day we'll sing with all the saints that God is love, God is love. We'll fully know then face to face. God is love, God is love. While endless ages roll along, we'll try this week, why don't you check out those verses in 1 John 4, 9 through 12. Read them over and over and ask God to show you what his love looks like. And I will see you next time.